Hi friends, I'm Prairie Vintage. My name's Linda. I'm an energy intuitive reader here on YouTube, and I use spirits, my intuition, and tarot to communicate energies to you guys amazing viewers. I absolutely am falling in love with today. I hope you guys are as well. And today's reading, we're looking at sort of a healing message to provide us with healing. And healing isn't always easy. Healing could sometimes be very difficult. All right, so we're looking at what is it that we should stop doing and what is it we should start doing that's going to help improve our life, our situation, our circumstance, whatever it may be that's keeping us in suffering. All right, sometimes these messages are challenging to hear, and unless we're ready to hear the message, then we might not understand that the message might be for us. So you're here for a reason. If you clicked on this video, chances are there's probably a message here for you. Don't force anything to fit, okay? We all are at our own place in healing and the journey, and sometimes we learn the hard path because we're meant to learn. All right, so this is only intended for those of you guys knowing this messaging is resonating for you and you're working on your spiritual path, wanting to alleviate some suffering or situation in which you know that there's something greater from the divine pulling through to guide you, but you're either too in the weeds of it or just wanting to connect to the divine as you develop your intuition. So my intention is always to provide healing, and the communication comes through as me reading the cards and the energy and my intuition, which is coming straight from the divine. Okay, so this isn't Linda's advice. I don't give or offer any advice. I don't know your situation. I don't know your circumstance, and I can't apply advice to anything here because that's not my intention. I'm an energy reader and I'm reading energy, period. Okay, that's what I'm doing here. Or at least I'm expressing as an energy reader. I'm not an energy reader. I am a divine being. So as I look at this, we have three options, okay? Three options to choose from for you guys. And like I said, we're looking at what is it we're supposed to be sort of very aware of, consciously aware of, that we should stop doing, okay? What we should maybe continue doing, and then what it is that we should start doing, which can help to guide us in the right direction or alleviate suffering. If you are not prepared to hear this message, it might not make any sense to you, and away you go. Okay, if this triggers you in any way, then I think you're ready to hear the message. Okay, because a message that's meant for you to hear is going to have a pull on your emotions. Now, this doesn't mean it has to be so negative. It's just, it's emotionally charged. If you feel any emotional charges, most likely it's your pile. Okay, because it's difficult when we have things in the shadow to intellectually know that it's for us. Okay, so unless you're completely intuitive, connect to what you'll see, feel, or hear to determine whether the messaging is right, or if you're feeling emotionally charged in any way, then it's your message. Okay, because if it's not for you, it makes no sense, and you just, nothing happens. You go to the next one. No need to get all uppity. Okay, so I love you guys very, very much. My dedication is to help however I can with your communication between you and the divine, and always to provide healing. Okay, so option one's card revealed itself with the devil. Very fitting here with sort of the topics we're talking about here. Like I said, it's not going to be easy so much. The other two haven't revealed themselves. So if you're pulled to any one of these options right now, you can select from the timestamp. I will put in the description box and in the pinned comment. It's absolutely fine to be pulled to multiple piles. Only you know, and it's absolutely fine to only resonate with certain parts of a message and leave the rest behind. If it's not fitting, it doesn't have to completely fit your situation. Okay, don't force it, and there's nothing to get or understand so much as maybe trying to see beyond our own ego. you know, maybe beyond how we've always seen something or connect with something. So it might sit funny, and if we revisit this message, it might make more sense as we sort of heal and navigate, you know, where we're at to sort of where we should be going, you know, towards enlightenment, healing, peace, bliss, you know, not in bondage, not in suffering, not in lack. That's the intent here. Okay, so option 1, we have the devil. Option 2, we have the Princess of Swords. This is the equivalent to the Page of Swords. Option 3, and we have the Ace of Sacred Circles, which is the Ace of Pentacles. All right, so I'll let you guys sit with this energy however you guys select. It is up to you. I'll let the video run for a bit so you can tap into this. And I will see you guys at your pick. Hello, my gorgeous angels. Pile 1, brave souls. You guys pick the devil, Capricorn energy. You could be have strong Capricorn placements, but I'm sure you guys are familiar with the devil and the tarot, and the fact that you're here. A lot is coming through for me. One, I think out of all the piles, this pile is heavily charged to make change in their life. Okay, I feel like you're completely aligned with the intention of freedom, getting yourself out of suffering. Okay, so I think that is going to make a world of a difference, because when we are sort of really desiring change and shift, and we've really sort of suffered, that's the only time we can really, you know, make some headway and change things we don't like that we are seeing in ourselves or around us. And so I feel like there's a desire to get on the path of healing, freedom, liberation, non-suffering, that sort of thing. Okay, so I do feel this is, although the devil is probably one of the more challenging cards of the 3 options, I feel like the people who are tapped into this are probably more on their way to make the bigger change in their world. Okay, the bigger change. And it's not just a change for the sake of change. I feel like this is a change in our situation or circumstance, but deeper than that, it's how can I come in contact with a part of myself that allows me to consistently tap into the divine in a way here that I never come back to this place, you know, that I really learn all I need to learn and never come back to this place, meaning this sort of an experience, you know. We don't repeat cycles, we don't stay victim mindset and all of this stuff that we've experienced. So it's like we've experienced the worst of it, and now we want to understand and free ourselves. So very good intention here, okay? But I got to be honest, the devil is a challenging card, because it's all about toxic patterns, things that hold us back. It could be belief system structures, people, physical things. But at the end of the day, it boils down to the devil is always an illusion, that of the mind. And so although we might see certain things, symbols, in our world that are reflecting back to us, all of these devil-y things, they're just symbols. And it's how we connect and see these things that feed information back to us, because the universe is neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It's just happening. You know, the universe is universing. The people are peopling. You know, things are happening in the world here. And so we can allow the illusion of the devil, which is all of the beliefs and systems we have in place, dictates. Ooh, my bell is ringing, my doorbell. I'll be right back, okay? I am so sorry, pile number one. It was Boston pizza delivery, but I didn't order, and neither did my son, and so they had the right address, but the wrong name, and so the name was coming through as Daniel Robinson, which is nothing that I know, but could be significant to someone. And so we're staring at each other, and she's like, well, here's your food. I'm like, I didn't order this. And then my Amazon package was there, so it was kind of like a little bit of a weird situation, but it could come into play in this reading. Kind of like devil energy, you know, like something's misaligned, because the address is right, she has the food there, and she's thinking like, well, this is yours. And I'm like, well, I know for sure I didn't order it, and my son's been on his gaming the whole time, and there's no one by this name, so it's like, why is this here? So I feel like we're seeing something that's actually there for sure. You know, I can't say, well, it's just a double illusion, forget about it. But I feel there's something definitely there that's like weighing you down, or that's causing grief. You know, and maybe you know that it is the thing, but the thing isn't really a thing that is to provide grief, to hold us down, to make us feel this way. It's we're feeling this way for a reason. And so we need to dig in deep and understand ourselves. We need to understand ourselves, you know. And so if we have a belief system that's set up in a way that makes us feel either lack, a need for control, or we have maybe we're attached to outcome. Okay, so one of these three things is going to cause us suffering. Okay, it's going to cause us suffering, and we need to understand which it is we're feeling, and why it is that we have that belief, because that needs to be undone, because it's not true. Okay, doesn't mean what you're seeing isn't true. It means what you're experiencing in this moment could be a whole bunch of different ways in which you could experience it. And so we don't want you experiencing suffering. Let's see. Okay, we have crown, empowerment, status, and authority. Wow. We have the storm. Okay, so this is 47. 47, it could be a significant number for you, an age. Also, this is number 11, and 11 is about divine inspiration. It's about synchronicities and the encouragement to keep going. Status and authority. Wow, okay. Getting Aries energy from this as well. Imprisonment, 29. Or the number 11 coming through. So now we have 1111. Wow, very powerful. And imprisonment is certainly this devil energy. You know, some of you guys could literally feel very confined, restricted, and stuck. And there's the rat. The rat is always about that consistent sort of thing that keeps coming through, that we can't rid ourselves of. And so it by itself might not be, you know, enough to dam us over, but over time, the rat then creates the damage, the integrity of the foundation that it's gnawing at gets eroded. And here's the lock with the keyhole, which means there's a way out. But I feel this thing is built over time, this imprisonment, this belief, this unhealthy attachment, or this way of connecting to your current situation could have been, even though the situation might be new or you're experiencing this new set of circumstances, it could have been over time that we've developed some unhealthy thing that now reflects itself in its way in your situation that needs to be discussed. Okay, thoughts, 16, number 7. So thoughts are nothing but activity of the mind. And we're not even the originators of the thought. When we think we are, when we believe we're a separate being, that we're coming up with the thought. But the thought comes through us. We don't choose it from our Rolodex. I want to think about that I'm hungry right now. It comes, right? Or I want to think about you know, the death of my relative, it just comes. If we could choose our thoughts, we would have happy, beautiful thoughts. We wouldn't have harmful, negative thoughts like I'm not good enough or there's suffering here. We don't choose these thoughts, and that's because it's an activity of the body, and we are not the body. Just like the heart beats, we don't say, okay, beat now, beat now, beat now. We're allowing the body to do what it does. And so the thoughts are coming. But I think we have an unhealthy connection, an unhealthy way of maybe attaching to the thought as it being our identity. And so we stay in a 9 swords, an imprisonment of our own sort of making, which is kicking up a storm here. Okay, lion. This is all about courage, strength. And the lion is normally peaceful when it's at rest, and it doesn't, it's calm, it's peaceful, it's resting, is serene, and it has the power to do many things, but it doesn't necessarily consistently engage in that power for the sake of it. It sits there resting unless it's provoked. Unless it's provoked to have to do something for survival. Otherwise, it sits there and it's kind of lazy, actually. Like there's nothing to do. It's relaxed. Okay, here's the shadow person. More Capricorn energy, more devil energy. Give me a minute. Make coffee. Don't normally drink coffee, but today I was wanting a cup of coffee. So, shadow person. This could be the shadow self, the self we identify with, as per our action. But shadow is something we don't see. So we're engaged in a way here that we're not seeing of self. Okay, choice. You're asked to make a choice that you've been struggling with. It's time to decide which path you're going to take. Listen to your intuition, eliminate everyone else's input, and feel your way into the choice that is right for you. The time is now. Okay, so I feel you have no choice. You know, and you won't if we believe we have no choice. And so it becomes, it's not a matter of forcing ourselves to see a choice. It's a matter of seeing the illusion of the devil so that we know that there's a choice. Because I believe you that you don't see a choice, you know, and we don't, because we're very convinced that there's a devil going on here. And and that is the shadow, because once we shine the light on the shadow, okay, and that is, I have subconscious things going on that I haven't really unpacked. That's why it's in the subconscious, in the shadow. And so how they manifest themselves in my day-to-day catalysts, you know, when someone triggers me, or when I'm in front of this situation or that situation, this shadow manifests itself in ways that I'm not consciously choosing, because it's just unconscious manifestations. It's like a storm. You can't control the storm. It just happens. Okay, things in the shadow just come out. They just happen. And so when we're doing shadow work, or when we are in tune with who we truly are authentically, beyond the shadow triggers and the traumas, we become very observant and aware of what the shadow looks like in us and how it manifests outside of us. So we get empowered to be able to make a choice and say, do I want to play out this trigger? You know, because now we catch ourselves. We know when we're in triggering, it's like, this is my shadow self. I see this now in myself. And so it might play out a couple of times. You know, it might play out because it's habit, because it's who we're still attached to, who we think we are. But after we observe it many times, we start to say, that is a part of myself that I need to integrate. You know, that's called transmutation of fragmented energy that's been suppressed in the shadow. And I need to accept these parts of me. You know, as Carl Jung would say, we suppress a lot of the parts of us that as a child, or at one point, we were told were bad, or we thought we connected it with being bad or not accepted or not desirable. And so once we accept, embrace, and love that part of self. Now, that doesn't mean we like the action itself or the results of what it gets, but we accept that part of ourself. We welcome it lovingly because it is all of who we are. We're a divine being, we're a divine being. And so as we accept these parts of us, we no longer want to entertain an action that comes out that's hurtful, or action that we see us playing out and we're like, I can actually see this. I could see myself engaging in a way here that doesn't make me feel like it's me, and it's not even getting the outcome I want. So now we're more empowered to make a choice in those moments. Okay, but we can't sit there in judgment of that, because unless we transcend that energy, unless we transcend that shadow and integrate it into ourselves, then we become prisoner to those reactions. Look at the Clover, most positive card in the Lenormand. This is all about luck, better days ahead, things turning for the better. I have number 2, which is all about choice. It's also about balance. Okay, so if we're in the Devil energy, we're not really in balance here. We have the Golden Rose, number 58. So in the book, it talks about this sort of pure center of being, like pure state or the golden state you never can kind of reach to. It's more of just a figment of an imagination here, but we go through all like the ups and downs. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down, and we're navigating through it, and it's almost like we're missing out on the journey with this belief of attaining some sort of outcome. So I feel like the suffering that I was talking about here, for some of you guys, the Devil energy is the attachment we have to outcome, that's causing this suffering. Because we might tell ourselves something about this center that is the illusion, and we believe it. We believe that center thought, like I'm going to, and it's great to have, faith in something. But when we start to walk the path of enlightenment, we give it up to the universe. We no longer are in the energy of law of attraction and how it was introduced to us. I want to manifest that relationship or that car or that house. Like, it's great to get sort of started into spirituality in that way. You are your thoughts and the power of positive thinking. And of course we are the creator, but when we start to walk the path of enlightenment, we start to understand there's something greater than the car, or that relationship, or that outcome. That we connect to a part of us that doesn't need any of those things, because we now know we are all those things. We now are all those things. And so we're not trying to get to a destination so much as we are living in that energy of knowing we have those things. 10, 21, or the number 3. So 10 is a very flexible material, and it's in the shadow attribute. If it bends too easy, it could break, Too many times it breaks. It's kind of a weak material. But in its positive attribute, it has the ability to be flexible, to come out sort of of its form, to adapt. And the rainbow's all about diversity and different ways we could see things and engage. And this ties back to this Devil, if we're really fixated and stuck in one sort of pattern, we can't break free from that belief and that thinking way unless we see it for what it is. And then we can start to see other ways. But if we just try to force it to be quiet to see other ways, we cannot, because this is going to come through even louder, or what we resist persists. And it's because we believe in this, or we haven't yet uncovered what the shadow that's driving it wants to be seen. It wants to be seen here before we're able to then make the choice or see that there's other ways of seeing things here. Otherwise, it's just a storm in our mind, firing all these thoughts around the same sort of energy. The Founder, foundations and community, more rat energy. Yeah, I feel something's plaguing you. And I feel it's a consistent sort of way of being because of thoughts that are arising. from the shadow subconscious. And so this is giving me choice again, because I feel like you might feel you have more choice than you actually have right now. And you can say, well, Linda, I do. Like, I really do. And yes, you kind of really do, but you really don't unless you're completely conscious and able to see through the illusion of your shadow. Then you have conscious choice and free will. You know, but other than that, you're just acting out to these subconscious actions. And so you see the choice in front of you. You know that there's something greater in front of you, but you're a victim to the shadow until you transcend the shadow. And I feel like you want a different decision here, you know, because I feel like you could do something different and you're able to, but how can you do this? Well, we first got to deal with this. Okay, the warrior, perfectionism and burnout. Look at that. So look at that. Empowerment, status, authority, perfectionism, burnout. Like, I feel like you're a very powerful sort of person here, but powerful in the world of people. Okay, is one thing, but when it comes to connecting with enlightenment and divine, there is no sort of level. It's either we're choosing the path of service to self, or we're choosing the path of service to others. And so there's positive and negative, there's light and dark, you know. But when we connect to the divine being, we know that there's only sort of one energy, and no one is below or beneath. And so I feel like there's some ego going on here, of an understanding of who you think you need to be or who you are, that is causing the suffering right now. Okay, rescuer. Light attributes. Provide strength and support to others. Okay, all about strength. And look at the warrior. Acts out of love with no expectation of reward. And then the shadow attribute assumes that the rescued will reciprocate. Keeps the rescued one needy. And then we have the bat. So the bat could see in the dark. The bat is very spiritual here. The bat kind of goes through navigating its way differently than most creatures because it has sonar. So it senses. It senses when it navigates here. Okay, so we have to kind of feel our way in the dark, I feel here. 42. And didn't we have, what is this one? This is, that we had. Okay, maybe not. 42 might be significant here for you. And the number 6, and 6 is also the devil. Okay, 6 could also be the lovers. We have the 6 of diamonds, 6 pentacles. And I was getting that from this rescuer, like giving, you know, giving. Okie dokie. I might repeat a lot in the channeling because I feel like a lot of you guys, our viewers, might just click on the channeling. So that might pull through here, but I do appreciate you guys sitting through this layout. And give me a minute. I'm going to sit with this energy before I start to channel what it is here that you're needing to know. You can click on that straight away. Okay, beautiful pile 1. If you haven't sat through the layout, a lot of channeling did come through. Okay, so this might be a little bit of a repeat, but I'm going to try to wrap it up as best I can with this messaging. So you're a beautiful soul, and I feel like you're really, really driven to change, and I think your intention is beautiful. Okay, and you want the change because you want true liberation and peace. And I feel like you want to be free of suffering, okay, however you're suffering. I feel this suffering, it could be 3 sort of areas for any of you guys, but the main one that's pulling through here is your suffering is attached to like an outcome belief, okay? And an outcome belief sets us up for suffering because it has an identity that it's us and the universe are separate. And so whatever I can do, doership, is going to dictate the outcome. And that is false. Okay, and it's false, false, false. And we like to believe this, But when we're on the road of enlightenment and we understand how divine we are, how everything infinite is already happening all at once, abundant universe is always providing, God is in every ounce of every tiny little cell, whole and complete, perfect as it is, lacking nothing, all happening at once, how could we possibly have any sort of lack? How could we possibly think that we have any control over what will happen? So as life unfolds, and this is the meaning of being very present, because when we're present, we let the universe unfold as it does, and then we're consciously observing, and we could consciously make choices how we want to engage. Do I want to experience this right now? Does my divine being want to experience this? How does my divine being want to react to this in this moment? And it could choose, because you're conscious and you're aware. But if we have too much shadow, which is, I've experienced certain things, traumas, fragmented self. Okay, fragmented self happens when we're young or when we suffer trauma for whatever reason. We're told we shouldn't get angry, or we should do this, or it's bad if we do that. And so these parts of self we store away in the dungeons of our shadow, okay, of our self. They don't go away. They just hide in the dark inside of us. These parts, okay, these parts of self. And so how this manifests in our everyday engagement is that we see it everywhere we look, because it's crying to be seen. It's a part of us we shut out. We don't want to see it. So when others are acting out, we say, oof, I would never act out like that. But it's a part of our shadow self that we've suppressed or denied, that we haven't embraced and welcomed. Whatever that thing that we're seeing, all these little projections in other people, judgments that we're making, okay, is all stemmed from self. And so unless we identify all of our shadows, or the biggest shadows that are driving our actions, we continue to suffer. And so one way we might try is, okay, I'm not going to think this, or I'm not going to do this, but now we're suppressing even more. And what you resist persists. And can you really control your thoughts? Because if you really could, all of us would be thinking rainbows, unicorns, bliss, and happiness and peace on earth. Of course we cannot, because we don't control our thoughts. And your thoughts are a function of the mind. Like that mind actually doesn't exist without thoughts, if you think about it. But that's for those of you guys who are seeing beyond this. But the mind is a function of the body, just like your heart beats, okay? Just like your blood is running through. You're not saying, okay, run now go to my brain, now pump heart, okay, now, like, all these things are happening within you. You are not the body. These things are happening. The divine being is in control of your body, including your mind and your thoughts. Because if you were in control of your thoughts, like I said, you would be flipping through a whole bunch of things and, I want to think about how I want to eat right now because I'm hungry. Well, no, it comes up as a feeling. I am hungry and I will eat. And so the ego self always wants to attach its I identity. I had that thought. I had this thing, but now we're separate. It's like, no, you didn't. That is ego. Okay, the body had a thought, but the I, that the being, is just pure awareness, pure being. And so you would be aware of this thought, you'd see this thought, you'd allow the thought to do its thing, but you wouldn't attach to it emotion and drive to it to perpetuate that action, okay? But if we're not aware and we're not observing, all of these actions that we're doing are all out of the shadow. So now, if let's say I don't know, with my partner, and my partner says something that triggers me and it's in the shadow, and he says, man, you're a horrible cook, let's just say something like this, okay? And now that triggers the shadow part of me. And so how I react, I might, when I'm trying to fix this situation, I might say, oh, don't say anything mean, and try to suppress it. Okay, and maybe I might not say anything mean back, but sometimes I might get triggered and say it back, and it's acting out the subconscious. Okay, or sometimes I'm engaging and responding and I'm not even aware that it just comes out. Because when we're acting out of the subconscious, we're subconsciously acting. Like we have no idea. It's like we're possessed. Okay, like yes, of course we have a choice, but that's the ego eye. Like the people who think they have this big choice to do things different and choose in the moment. You really don't unless you're consciously aware and present of your subconscious sort of drivers and triggers. Then you have conscious choice. Okay, and so you're not in conscious choice right now because you have things in the shadow that are false beliefs right now, that are thinking that you can control an outcome and that you could do something right now to be different, and really you don't. You really don't. Okay, like life is going to unfold in front of you. How it unfolds in front of you. People do not like this idea because they, again, like the big ego, that they're this master magician, and they're, yes, you can create your world to a capacity because you could create a world of suffering, or you could create a world of being in flow state and enjoying what the universe is putting in front of you. But can you really control, a car running through your home right now, or you getting hit by a bus, or the weather outside, or all these things that are going to impact you? No. So we were making choices based on conditioning, based on genetics. Those are the little choices we're making every day, but all of that is still driven by the universe. Our genetics driven by the universe. The storm, everything going on externally is all driven by the universe. We are just a little blip. We are consciousness experiencing ourselves. And so we can experience suffering, or we can experience knowing that we're the divine being. And so I feel like in your world right now, we're doing something, I feel, and we're getting the opposite result. And we think, I need to be more like this, or I need to do more of this. And the universe is saying no. Or spirit is saying no. No. All you need to do is identify your shadow, however many things you have on the go here, one at a time. And so when you identify, and you might say, well, how do I identify this? The best time is when you get triggered, to really see yourself and how you're acting in that moment. Okay? And so when this first happens, it's very heavily charged. We can't control it. Don't try to control it, and don't judge it. Obviously, I mean, if you could not hurt someone, don't hurt someone. But see how you're about to respond, how you handle that. And if you handle it like you normally do after the fact, you could sit there and ponder and say, how could I have done this differently? What part of me there was acting in a way that doesn't really feel right? And then we say, ooh, yeah, that when he said I wasn't a good cook, it was because, I don't know, like deep down, I always would do really good things here for my mom, let's say, right? And my mom would always kind of nitpick me. Like if I went to help and cleaned up, she'd say, oh, you don't really know how to clean because underneath the garbages are always dirty. Or, oh, every time you cut the tomatoes or the carrots for the stew is always too big or something, and you were trying to help. And so we suppress that judgment. And so now when husband says your cooking stinks, which I'm sure is not how they said it, but even if they just made the face and we're feeling threatened, out of the subconscious comes those subconscious reactions. Okay, and so we think that we start feeling bad when we go to, say, how dare you? And we react, and then we judge ourselves saying, shoot, I shouldn't have yelled, I shouldn't have been mean, I kind of blew it out of proportion, and we shouldn't do that either. Because the subconscious self is just reacting out this energy and letting it flush out. But now we're aware of it. And now the next time it happens, every time we sort of get triggered, we see it more and more, and we get in front of it. And when we're in front of it, we say, do I want to respond this way? I can see this now. I can see where this is coming from. It's no longer in the shadow. We know, and we've seen that part of the judgmental mother that comes through. And so instead of hating that part of ourself, or that making judgment, we welcome it, because we don't want it to go back to hide in the shadow. We meet it at its place, and we say, you know what, self? I know you suffered this. I know that you felt judged, but you're a perfect, being of God. and that you were, I don't know, 6 years old, 8 years old, and you were cutting carrots to your best ability. And there was nothing wrong here. And so you embrace it, you hug it, and you allow it to take its time. You don't say, shadow, just disappear, please, because it's not going to. And so you sit with it as you would a child, and you love it, you give it attention, you say, okay, you know, you're a part of you that's hurting, that it wasn't able to express itself, so it was suppressed, and it was generating a multitude of thoughts that kept coming up. Okay, but as we then see the shadow for what it is, bless it in a way that accepts it, doesn't pass judgment, the thoughts subside. And now when someone says, ooh, your cooking sucked, you know, or your husband says, ooh, it wasn't very good, it doesn't trigger us in the same way. Now we have a choice to say, oh, well, what would you have preferred, you know? Or next time you cook. Or sucks to be you, I guess. I'm enjoying eating this. Whatever your answer is, it doesn't really matter. The point is you're in control of your answer. You're not in bondage to your shadow. Okay? And again, like the lion, like I said, was coming through for me as it's always in a state of power, but it doesn't have to be exercising its power. It's in peace. It could sit there being lazy, completely knowing that if anything were to, you know, like whatever, get to it, that it's capable of managing it. But at the same time, the lion could all of a sudden instinctually respond in a way that's very overpowering, right? So we have here with the empowerment, status, and authority. So we might have a very sort of big ego here when it comes to how we're engaged, you know, because I feel like you are like I think you have very good intention. I think you're really trying to do something good right now for someone or in a situation, but I feel like you're getting the opposite results. And I feel like there is a sort of a burnout here. And so we could start to lean towards thinking, you know, that the universe is not then producing, or what's it worth to be good and helpful and help others and all this. And so we start to believe into that. And it's really not true. It's really what right now is going on within me that I'm not seeing here, that's acting out in my everyday sort of catalysts. These are people who come throughout our day that create the trigger that we replay. You know, how am I engaged with my thought? Am I letting it sort of come in and not saying, this is my thought, I feel bad for this thought, I need to act out this thought? Or are we just seeing it as, yeah, thought, I see you, you come, you're gonna go. But the greater truth is the awareness. I am the being that's having this awareness, that's observing this thought, like a cloud in the sky that's just going to dissipate. That might be stormy right now. I'm not going to charge it. I'm not going to feed into that thought. I'm just going to see it, and then it's going to disappear. And so the ego, these thoughts are going to audition for your attention. How dare he say this? My cooking was good. How dare they, right? The shadow, ego, trying to get to the charge here. And so our job as the observer, being at peace, knowing we want to be in control of our action and our charge. We don't want the shadow side of us to take action, because now there's a series of actions that happen because of our subconscious action. Now it turns into an argument, and now it turns into this, now it turns into that. And does all that need to happen? No, and I'm sure you don't want that either. You know, like, why is this getting into an argument? Why is this leading me down this sort of experience? And the only reason why we're having this experience is because we're supposed to, until we get it and say, you know what? I am a divine being here, and I'm still sort of acting out this energy as the separate I, as the human, until I could see that I'm not separate, that all of this is sort of an illusion of the devil, keeping me in matrix, keeping me stuck in ego, keeping me, you know, in this world where 99% of the world is just acting out their subconscious beliefs of who they think they are, and triggered by traumas. And reacting on that and really thinking they have the power of choice, but really they don't, because they don't see it about self, and all they're seeing is how other people are triggering them, how other people are acting, how other external situations are responding. Meanwhile, it has nothing to do with external, all to do with how we're projecting, mirroring that into our outside world. And we're the ones that can, have the experience however we want. We adapt to it. But we're not aware of how we're engaged if we can't shine the light on the toxicity, the shadow, the devil, the ways of being that we're not even seeing in self. And so we're slave victim to that response every time, whatever the shadow may be. And like I said, that shadow is going to drive either the ego saying they're to blame or I'm to blame, one or the other. Someone has to be the victim and the other the oppressor with the ego. Okay, it's always going to sort of drive from that angle, but there is no, in the universe, victim and oppressor here. There's just people out like doing their triggering of their subconscious sort of actions, not even being aware of it. They're still asleep. Okay, so we can choose to either see that person is in shadow, and it doesn't bug us because we know they're a divine being who's learning on their own path, who's also potentially in shadow, doing what they need to do. It's not a reflection of you. Your pure light is untainted. It cannot be impacted by what anyone else says, does. Period. End of story. Your light being, untouchable, pure. Okay, and once we tap into this I am being, then we no longer feel separate from the divine. We no longer feel like we're lacking. We're no longer sort of triggered by these things. But back to me feeling like you have some sort of outcome. I feel like the outcome is, if I do these things, I have this expectation that things should go this way. And so we need to check. And even if you believe that you're doing all the right things, again, there's no right and wrong. So now we're attributing and identifying what we think is right with our human mind. Meanwhile, the universe is saying there is no right or wrong. You're the one dictating if you think it's right or wrong based on your upbringing and genetics. And collectively, we start to make those, like it's right to, I don't know, whatever the collective beliefs could be. And so if everyone believes it to be right, of course we're going to carry that. But the universe doesn't make those judgments. There is no right or wrong. And so when we're aware of it, saying this is a collective belief, or this is a personal sort of belief system I have that this is right. And then so when we're already on that sort of path that we think we're doing something right, our expectation to have some sort of outcome based on that is the suffering. Because you're not, just because your shadow and your unawakened self here is buying into an attached belief story, it doesn't guarantee you an outcome. But when you can see all of this illusion, when you're very conscious and aware of the choices in front of you, then the universe starts to align with desirable outcomes. They just come to you. They happen to come to you. There's no need to chase, force, coerce, and we never feel lack and a need for control. So I feel like you need to control, okay? And I'm not saying you're by the collective terms a controlling person, but there's something in your shadow that thinks it has control in some way over the circumstance, and it really does not. The only thing you can do right now is see the illusion within yourself that you actually have control. You do not. And this is difficult for us to accept, but if we have that feeling come up, let's not suppress it. Let's examine, why is this feeling coming up? It makes me feel a little out of control right now, having this thought. So we unpack that. Where's it sitting in my shadow? All of those heavily charged energies are sitting somewhere within us. Some people really hate that notion. And it's not even a notion. The universe is abundant. It does not know good, bad. It does not. There is no such thing. And whatever's going on in your mind is your truth, but nobody else is seeing this. There's the objective truth. Nobody else can see this because it's not an objective truth. It is the devil. It's an illusion. It's you're identifying with that thing, that story, that understanding. It's only happening in your mind. The way this person is making me feel, that's an illusion in your mind. Yes, you could be feeling that way, but it's not really that person. It's that story that you're telling yourself to how you connect to that person. And that person could bring up 5 different feelings for 5 different people, and they see them all completely different. So it's how you see that person, how you engage with that is what's dictating what you're calling the reality. So if you change that, that person changes? No, that person's still the same person, but you could see them completely different. You could see them however the hell you want to see them. That's the choice. But we can't get to this choice until we see the illusion, how we're actually seeing them and why we're seeing them that way. It's driven from something within us. And so when we don't see it, it keeps manifesting and projecting itself in the exact same way in different areas of our life. What is this? Only you can do this by inquiring and looking within, and then we change. Okay, so I don't think I'm pulling any tarot. I might, let me pull 3. Let me pull 3 here. Because this is really, you know, like, what did you stop doing? You stop feeling guilty for your thoughts. You stop chasing the thought. You stop making stories. You start seeing the devil for what it is, an illusion. And what can you start doing? Connecting better with the divine, knowing that you have really no decision here other than the choice to act out a subconscious thought or allow yourself to experience what's in front of you in that moment. That's what you start doing, and you see the world unfold in front of you much more in a peaceful place, not turbulent, not suffering. Okay, so that's what the start-stop's all about. So we have the Spirit of Swords in reverse, and this is the Queen of Swords in reverse, and then we have 6 wands, and we have the Emperor. Wow, you guys, look, Emperor, and I said I was getting Emperor from this. Okay, Aries energy, self-empowerment, but this is doership. 6 of Wands is ego. Queen of Swords in reverse, this is the Queen of Swords acts on experience based on her wisdom of knowing and understanding. Okay, and so with this in reverse, I feel like, of course, we need discernment, okay? But I feel like what it's saying here is your past, what you know, what you've experienced. It doesn't have to dictate what's going on here in your future, you know? And maybe we hang on to this sense of illusion of being empowered, and that we have the choices and we could make these sort of decisions because it makes us feel something for the ego. Okay, but this is what causes the suffering, because we know from experience that just because we can do whatever we think we're doing, right? We're the doer. I'm making it happen. Look at me. It comes crashing down. It always comes crashing down at some point, because there'll always be somebody smarter, always be somebody better, always somebody who will do something, always a situation that happens that's out of our control. Always happens like this, okay? Because the universe is in control, and it already has your high self. The universe has what's supposed to be unfolding in front of you, and you're supposed to be experiencing this in the moment, not trying to change and control it. You know, do what you can, but allow the universe to unfold as it does. So I feel like there's an ego part of self that is still thinking it's in the limelight, trying to control the show here, and then it feels suffering and experiences lack and not the results it sort of wants. So the only way to really win at this, and the real way to get empowered, is to be very conscious and aware. And then in that moment of the triggering and the everyday sort of catalyst, we have the choice. How's this going to go right now? Because normally this would lead to an argument. Normally this would lead to my subconscious reactions manifesting in all different ways that is normal for me, and it would get the same results. Okay, so we don't want to have to keep falling back into the old way. Like, this is all about thoughts too. So I feel like your thoughts are coming through. And I think you're attributing yourself to these thoughts as who you are and part of your self. And it really isn't. You're not your thoughts, you know? And so although you've had experiences in the past, they only exist if we keep them sort of alive in our mind. All that exists right now is the present moment and how we're engaged. That's it. So we could allow the thought to sort of be a thought, but to not identify with that thought, and observe it as a function of the body that comes and is happening. It's just there. And so as we meditate or sit in stillness, okay, even if there's a storm, we can bring it back as best we can, as long as we know that we're just observing the thought. We're not running with it. We're no longer prisoner to it. Okay, and this will take practice. This takes practice, self-mastery, because we might feel very chained to that process for some time. We might be still attached to seeing that outcome and attaining that thing. The more I give to this thing, the more doing I do, the more it's going to be. Like, no. There is no doing. There's just experiencing and being. That's it. Okay? If we got to keep doing and doing, we set up for disappointment here. And we got to keep bending until we break. Burnout. This tin. You know, I got to do that way. I got to be that way. No, you don't got to do any of those things. You just got to be self, and you tap into that beautiful place. And it doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel restricted. It doesn't feel like it's acting out of shadow, you know, and the ego is going to try to capture you in many ways, saying, this doesn't feel right. Are you sure? And, oh, wouldn't it be good to just speak your piece right now? You're not being authentic. You're not saying how you truly feel. This is just chirping. Ego chirping. It's the subconscious trying to not die, because the ego wants to pull at your whatever it could to get to your energy, your emotion, charged with it. Take action on me. It's like, no, I see you. I see you for what you are. And so you could play it out in your mind. Yeah, I'm going to snap. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And then afterwards, you're like, you know, it wouldn't really lead to anything if I just say angry things or do what I normally do or react like that. So that doesn't feel right. That keeps me in this thing, you know? And so after we get in front of it many times, that's when we get very aware that we have a choice to choose something different. And that's where the true empowerment comes from now. But we don't need to do anything. We just sit here like the lion. You know, we don't even have to hunt our food. We just sort of sit there and the universe provides. Food comes, things come. We're just totally at peace, knowing we're capable of protecting and managing and doing what we need to in the moment when it comes. There's no suffering. The lion doesn't sit there with all its thoughts thinking, ooh, what if, you know, I don't know, tonight and tomorrow, like no food comes, and then I'm hungry, and then I'm going to die of starvation, and then my family's going to, like, no, the lion doesn't think that. The lion is just enjoying the present moment, and that's what we are all here for. We're divine beings of God to enjoy this present moment. Collective beliefs, the chains, are telling us that there's lack in this universe. There isn't. Undo this sort of mind story. Recognize our ego and notice when we're trying to do something and why we're trying to do it, because we're trying to create the illusion of an outcome or control or make us feel in a certain way, and we don't have to do that. Okay, so pile 1, this is your reading. I love you so much. I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Hello, beautiful pile number 2. You guys picked the Princess of Swords. This is Page of Swords energy, and we're looking at what are you supposed to sort of stop doing, continue doing, and start doing in your world. Okay, and like I mentioned in the intro, is to provide healing to us. We don't want to stay in suffering. We want to know what we can do, you know, and I say do lightly, or what we should be aware of, so that we can free ourselves from any sort of suffering. So what was pulling through with this Page of Swords is mind, okay? Because the Page of Swords is all about us understanding, coming to some sort of understanding So I feel like you're trying to come to some sort of understanding, but I feel like the messaging pulling through is that our mind, our intellect, and our understanding is one part, okay, one part, but deeper than that, there's a knowing, and there is a place where the mind doesn't sort of have any control over, and this is like what is, like what is. It doesn't matter what the mind thinks of it or any of that stuff. So we might be a little bit in our mind. Maybe we're trying to understand theory or understand a concept, conceptually. And there's nothing wrong with conceptualizing and understanding, but it disconnects us from a greater truth, because you could speak to, let's say, spiritual people who have all the knowledge in the world and conceptual ideas and knowledge, but when it comes to living and experiencing the divine, they haven't really experienced the enlightenment or that in which they have the knowledge of. So it might be the relationship you have with your mind right now that might be an obstacle, or that might be something you're just needing to be aware of, so that we can see things maybe differently than how we are, because maybe you're in an energy here that I need to know or understand something. And until I know it and understand it, I'm plagued or troubled or suffering. And that's the mind thinking that it has to sort of attain that. But really, everything that is already is. Whether your mind understands it or not, it doesn't cease to be. It's kind of like electricity. It works either which way. We don't have to fully understand what's happening in the circuits and all of this to know that it exists, right? Now, that doesn't mean just be ignorant and, if you have a passion to understand how electricity works, fine. But I feel like here you're trying to understand something and conceptualize something that I think if you felt it and understood it, there would be no need to go seek it out. It's kind of what I feel. So let's see. We have the knot, which is stability, security, and resilience. So yeah, I feel like there's a crying out for some sort of security or some sort of understanding that would make you feel more at ease, more stable about it, because your mind understands it rather than sort of just floating about here. So we have the destroyer, number 23, or the number 5. Okay, and then we have main female, number 2, and she has a rose in her hand. Okay, and we have number 9 with change. 9 is hermit energy. Change is number 5. Okie dokie. And we have gazelle. Gazelle could get easily sort of spooked here. Observing. Not quite engaged, not quite in the experience, but observing is kind of what I feel. Pay attention. You're being asked to pay extra close attention to the signs that you're being given, both of the subtle ones and the ones that can't be missed. These signs will help you see how to best move forward in order to live your best life. Not understand your best life, but live your best life. Chariot, move. Okay, then we have dog. Dog's all about loyalty and friendship. Number 18 or 9 pulling through again. So now we have 2 9s. 9's about fruition, completion, fulfillment. 9 is hermit, like I said, Virgo energy. 9 is also the moon, which is seeing things in moonlight, not necessarily as they are true. And then we have 10 hearts, 10 of cups. And we had the rose. Rose is about romance. 10 cups is with another person, emotional happiness. Okay, and here we have the letter, number 27. 9 again, 3 9s. So September could be significant. 9 could be definitely significant. And then we have 7 swords. So that's coming through with the moon energy, because 7 swords is deception. But it could be self-deception or not quite seeing a great truth. Letters about communication. letters, I'm also getting like formal, you know, like knowledge. Like if it's written, it's formal. Okay. And here we have the mystical sister, number 50, or the number 5. So now we have another 5, 5, 5, and then we had change. 3 5s, because change to me is signifying 5. Mystical sister. And this is like having the support of someone that helps to sort of aid us, guide us, protect us, show us the way, inspire us, support us, that we can rely on. It doesn't have to be feminine, but it's the feminine qualities are there in someone that can support us, that make us feel safe and protected. Okay, the moon. Yes, we were feeling moon energy for sure. And I don't pick these, okay? This is all like random. I haven't even seen these. So moon is feminine energy pulling through very strong now. Like I said, feminine energy is all about receptivity, you know, being able to give pure love. That's a feeling. That's not a knowing. That's like a feeling. The heart doesn't discriminate. And the heart wants nothing in return, okay? With feminine love here and the moon's emotions, but moon's also, how are we seeing certain things? Are we seeing it in moonlight? All right, and so we have the adventurer with responsibility and expectations. The volcano erupting in the background. Okay. Okay, and then we have the fate. Accepting help and guidance. Right beside mystical sister, this is about the guidance here. And look, we have the scissors. Cutting the puppet strings. The fate, all about destiny and what's meant to happen. Accepting help, guidance, okay. And then guide, oh my goodness. Light attributes. Represents the nature of the divine in life and in yourself. Ooh, goosebumps. Shadow attribute. Places financial gain and control over imparting spiritual insight. And here we have the chair. And the chair is all about either someone leaving our life or us leaving, you know, leaving a certain circumstance as it is. 41 or the number 5 again. So now we have, well, 3 5s for sure, and then change, which would be the 4th 5 here for me. Okay, so this message is strong, and I'm going to tap into this, and then we'll get into your channel. You can click on the timestamp to get into that straight away. Okay, beautiful people. You are in some sort of illusion, and I think it's what you want to see, you know, and there's nothing wrong with this, but I think this is where the suffering is. You know, the suffering is there, and it's like you're trying to work in the illusion to try to make sense of something and understand it, and it's tiring. You know, you're watching it, and you know you're not insane. So what you see is like, I know what this is, I know what that is, and like you're trying to make a story of it and make it like a story as in like make sense of it, like, you know, but what the universe is showing here is that you cannot make sense of what is actually the truth of the universe here, because there's something very fated that you could sit there all day long trying to make sense of it formally, intellectually. Erase all that. Okay, great, you had an experience, but when you connect with it in that way, you're going to create suffering, because that will come when it needs to, but it's not something you need to force to sit to figure out. There's nothing to figure out here. But I think what it stemmed from is you wanting to understand it so you could feel more safe, secure, and make your right decisions, which makes sense. You know, I want to understand something before I hitch myself to it. I want to understand this before I make decisions around it. I want to understand this before I invest and commit and do all these things. It makes sense in the human world. But we're going beyond human here, okay? What we're talking about now is the divine, spiritual energy, and sometimes there is happenings that go transcend the mind and the intellect and the knowledge. And it is trusting in divine guidance and allowing ourselves to go where the universe is pulling us, through people, through relationship, through our own sort of pulling, listening to our emotions. The emotions never lie. Now, yes, of course, they could be coming through as an emotion because the thought is misaligned. And so if our emotions are really charged to a thought that we think is real, but it's an illusion, then there might be chaos and suffering. So we have to be very in tune with the feeling, because the feeling's not going to lie. But where we need to be very observant is in the thought. And so can we destroy the notion or the idea that some things I will not know, some things I can stare at forever, and it's not the right time to understand, because God, the universe, will let me know what I need to know when I need to know it. Period. Say that mantra until you actually believe it. And so you might be saying, well, now how am I going to engage in my situation? Okay, now this is ego. Now we're attached to only being of this way when we know of something. And what that creates is that we don't trust the universe and suffering for us. But deeper than that, why do we feel this way? Because we're attached to a control of how something might come or might not come, rather than a trusting where we're being led to. Because you're being led to someplace here that I think you're divinely being called for this, and you have all the support around you that you need when you need it, if you really pay attention to this. But if we're asleep, or if we're in program, which is the human self, I need to understand, I want to know formally, I need to sort of put these pieces together, then we're missing it all together. So yes, observe it, you know. And I feel like there might be a situation specifically where we're wanting concrete, we have an expectation of someone or something to be in a certain way. And I feel we're disappointed here. Either they didn't show up, or there's something missing that we want to see and we haven't seen yet, you know? And the universe is saying, trust in your movement, forward movement always, forward movement always. Don't get stuck. Don't try to talk yourself into anything here. This isn't an intellectual thing that's happening. This is very spiritual. This is trusting the divine. This is being guided by something within you. It doesn't come from mind. Destroy all concept, you know, because the bigger illusion here, because I think you don't want to be in an illusion of being tricked. And so this is why you're in the mind. You know, I don't want to be in an illusion. I want to see clearly, but that is the illusion. The big old illusion. Look at the moon back here. I didn't even notice. The big old illusion is the more we're in mind trying to understand something, that's the illusion of human self, the ego self. The self here that's convincing itself that it's going to attain something, to know something, and then it's going to have something. That's an illusion. No, it doesn't matter. You know, yes, maybe the mind wants to know it to sort of conquer that feeling, but that's all ego. So if we're attached to that, then we're attached to an ego, and we got to see why. So once we see it for what it is, that's me, I am attached to the divine. There's no separation here. I am the divine. I already know what this is. My human self might not intellectualize it, might not put it into words. It might not be confirmed. I'm not seeing it here in the 3D, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist or that it won't happen. And so I'm being trusted and guided to go in a certain way without, you know, I don't know, knowing the A's and Z's of it, seeing it with my real eyes of or I say real, but the 3D eyes, I should say, but tuning in to the intellectual eye of knowing and trusting, because the universe is moving you forward to success. Like, you're moving here, okay? And so we could fall back and getting spooked, you know, because the fear comes when we don't understand it. And the fear comes when we're sort of observing, and then when the mind gets in there and it's like, I don't fully know or understand. And so I instead of leaning into it, I go the opposite way and don't experience it. I'm kind of hesitant, or I get shy. I shy away from it, you know. But I feel like what you want is buy-in and support. I think you want to be, yeah, like you want that feeling, you know, the feeling of complete support, buy-in, like love, like you're all sort of complete in it, you know, and it's there, like you are, because you're the universe. You are love, like completely embodied love, pure. You are all whole, complete, resilient, everything there. Everything you're expecting to get, you already kind of have, but you're not seeing it because the mind is trying to seek it and see it in moonlight. It's like, where is it out there? Where is it out there that I'm going to see this thing? That's going to make me feel like it supports me, or that's going to make me feel valued, or that's going to make me feel like I'm worthy or deserving or have what it is here. Like, then I'll feel this way. It's like, no, you feel this way now because you are already this way now and you're missing your path. Okay, and if you don't feel it right now, we don't feel bad that we're not there. It's like the only way I'm going to get there is by following the divine, rather than staying stuck trying to get a situation to be seen in a certain way so I can think I feel better about it, but I'm only perpetuating more suffering the longer I sit here trying to analyze or understand. I'm stuck. Okay, so the universe wants you to move out of this situation. It's trying to help you. It's saying don't sit in the moonlight trying to make sense of it. It will become clear to you. But when we sit in moonlight, we start to make decisions based on the fear of the not knowing and what we still don't see. And so we hesitate and we don't trust. And it's saying, get out of that, accept the sign, symbol, synchronicities, and the inner feeling that you get so you can move forward and attain the beautiful things that are already there in existence, but we're not seeing or experiencing because we're not feeling it within self. So we're not present to enjoy the things that are happening right now. So all we see in front of us is the suffering and the things we don't have, and the lack, and the thing that's not working out, and the thing that should be supporting me or making me feel a certain way, and it's not. So we feel more of that feeling we don't want. That's the illusion. Detach from that and know like you know that the universe is all abundant at all times. So therefore, it cannot be true that I am lacking because I am the divine being. Okay, all of this other stuff that's going on in the external world is all programming. It's all covering up the greater truth here. And so when you connect to this part of self, everything else sort of silences and falls off. There's no need to know. There's no need to see it from A to Z. You just already know and trust the divine. You already know it like you know, and there you're already sort of shining bright because you've already connected to it. There was nothing further you were supposed to know. There's nothing further you were supposed to attain as in knowledge or material thing that was supposed to come. The thing you're really connecting to is the internal light. And then there's movement. Then there's peace. Okay? And always sort of being on alert here with where the divine wants you to go, because it's an inner pull. And sometimes it comes through way of intellect, right? Like we hear a certain thing. Okay, that makes sense. We understand something all of a sudden, but that's more of a knowing that comes from the heart to our mind. And now it's knowing rather than, the programming of the thought that thinks it needs to intellectualize something here. That's an opposite feeling. And so it drives us nuts when we sit there pondering, and we have no idea, especially when it's all chaotic, because sometimes life is really chaotic and it won't make sense. People aren't acting normal. Things aren't happening as we expect. Things are just out of control and not making any sense whatsoever, and so we feel out of control. So, Spirit, what does pile number 2 need to know? Clear and concise message for the greatest and highest good of pile 2. Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message. What do they need to know further for this message? We have the Magician and we have the Star in reverse. Virgo, Gemini, Aquarius. Yeah, you want something. I think you have a vision, a dream, an expectation of something, but we're going about it in the human way, which nothing wrong with it, and there is no judgment. But Spirit is saying, cut that way of how we're engaging, because we think we have control in this way. If we only understood it better, if we can only make sense of it better, now we could control it better. No. Destroy that thought. That's old system structure. Okay, you want to manifest the thing. You have a dream and a vision. It could come to you, and it's coming to you because it's already there. You are the manifester. It's already there. Okay, but I know you don't believe it because we're still in this sort of program mindset. So you got to start to undo the fact that we think we need to understand. that we just need to lean into the knowing, because I feel you're very spiritual. I feel you're seeing sign symbols, synchronicities. They're already coming to you. You already know the divine there. You already feel that it's fated. That's the proof. That's the thing. That's the knowing. You're being guided. Okay? And so don't be asleep at the wheel saying, oh, but it doesn't line up with what my human self is supposed to see. There's the human self. That's just the body. It's temporary. The body comes, the body goes. You are forever being. Okay, but I feel like you're really tied to the expectation or this thing. So now we have an attachment. Okay, so what we got to do is be aware of those attachments. Why are we attached? You know, to that person, to that outcome, to that thing, making us feel supported or whatever. That's telling the universe that I don't believe I'm already it, that I need this thing to happen in order for it to prove me right. And it's like, no, nothing needs to prove you anything. You already are these things. You just don't see it in self. And so this is the lesson, is for you to get there, so that after this experience, you're like, ah, now I understand I am all these things, that I am already propped up in all these beautiful things, that I don't need to seek an external support of this. It's already there. There's nothing to understand so much as feel and tap into within myself. And now I know it. I feel it. And now we can manifest the real thing we wanted all along. Okay, so the world in reverse. Embodiment of Wands, King of Wands, Eight of Cups. So embodiment of Wands is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. We have the Tower, and we have the Fool in reverse, Aquarius. And we have the Nine of Cups in reverse. And we have the Four Swords, and we have the Lovers in reverse, Gemini, more Gemini, okay. And we have the Ace of Wands under that. Look, it's my readings are so man, just give me goosebumps. Look, we have scissors cutting the strings. Okay, rope. What's rope do? Rope holds us back. Rope binds. Rope connects. Rope can limit us. Okay, rope is in this instance, I feel like a form of controlling. So I feel like we're trying to control, and Spirit is saying you don't have any control the way you think you have control. This is the illusion that's causing the suffering. And I think what you're trying to control is your understanding of it intellectually. So there's something here that needs to fall away, because you are in moonlight, which we saw and we already talked about. Tower is allowing the things to fall away. And this could be very traumatic to the ego, because it starts to chirp up a story. You know, oh, once that falls, everything's ruined or destroyed or whatever. But no, the best thing that could happen is the tower falling, because now the illusion falls. And now we can really focus on the thing, because I feel like we're not getting the thing we want, and we're not emotionally happy, but it's always there. The golden egg is here. Okay, this is not getting our wish. This is us being emotionally dissatisfied. But the golden egg is there for us to attain the thing we want. Okay, but I feel like what we need to do is get still. What we need to do is understand that what is available in the 3D world right now is exactly as it is. There is no need to know more, or uncover more, or make up stories of it. There's just a need to accept and know that if the pathway isn't available right now, it's because we're stuck needing to close out a cycle of recognizing that the longer we sit here, it's not going to present itself. So we close this out. Okay, we close out this way. So what do we got to stop doing? Stop engaging the way you are, which is in this mindset. But again, like, I feel like your heart was, was wanting to understand for a good reason, but you don't need to go through this step. Okay, so once you say, you know what, mind, I don't need to intellectual this. I don't need to know more about it. I don't need to even see it with my eyes. I'm going to close this out. Now the tower falls. Okay, and so this is why on sort of a subconscious level, we know that this tower would fall. And so we were trying to sort of still keep it up in some way. So there might be hesitation around letting this go, but there's something deeper going on here. It's like, I know if I do, this tower, you know, will fall, and maybe I was trying to prevent it. You know, I didn't want to leave it, or I didn't want the circumstance to go or change or be different. And so I thought I could kind of, you know, stay around here. But the truth is, once that tower falls and we let it fall and we embrace the fall, then we can go on a new journey here of adventure, which is more in line with what's actually the golden egg for us, that's going to make us happy. And then the pathway opens. But right now we're not on the chariot. We're not moving in that direction because I feel we're still, you know, stuck reviewing, needing to know, trying to do that. And this isn't to say, you know, oh, just kind of shut that and move forward, because in a way it is, because you really don't need to. But you have to really understand why you're doing this, you know, because you could sit there forever and try to reconcile this. Or you can just understand what it is that's pulling through here and say, yeah, like, there is no amount of contemplation here that's going to give me my expectation, that's going to become the thing. So I have to embrace the fall of what I'm maybe trying to prevent, you know, or what's actually happening here, in order for there then to be my dream, my wish, my vision, my manifestation, my opening, me get what I want. Then there's an opening for me to pursue and actually do something. Because in this situation, there's nothing you can do. You know, and I'm not saying, oh, you're helpless. What you can do is what I'm saying. But what you should stop doing is what you're doing. Okay? Because whatever you're doing isn't going to get you what you want. And you might feel like this is the right thing. You know, this is the responsible thing. This is the thing that I'm telling myself is right. And now I'm asking you, why does it feel to you like this is right? There's some voice within you. And you might chalk it up as it's the responsible thing, or it just feels like it's right. Okay, but if it feels right, then there's nothing about it that's wrong, and you're getting what you want? Or is there something that still feels off? Because what Spirit is saying is there's something deeper that we're not wanting to experience here, which is the fall of the tower. That is going to make us feel out of control. You know, we're trying to control something, again, like I said, with the rope and the control. And so this is the real reason. But we're not dressing it up this way. But the most beautiful blessing that could happen is that tower falling, and then us getting what we want, and then us being empowered, and then us actually getting the path towards the dream, the vision. That expectation that we had in this situation is something we could have here. Or we already have it, we just don't see it because we're in this sort of limited mindset still. You know, what I seek is out there. It's out there, you know. And so I'm going to wait here and try to make sense of it, or try to see what I can do different to attain it. It's like there's nothing in that situation you could do that's going to control it at all. It is what it is for a very good reason, and the universe is doing this as a thing for you to understand this so that you can let it go and then actually move towards what the universe is putting in front of you, which is the truth. And then happiness comes, and then all these wonderful things that you were wanting to feel come. You know, it does come, but not in that way that you're trying to know more than the universe, or make do with more. You know, there is only false control, and that leads to suffering, because control is an illusion. We don't have this much control over anything. Okay, pile number 2, this is your reading. I love you very much. I hope this resonated for you guys, and I will see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Hello, hello, gorgeous angels. Pile number 3. You guys picked the Ace of Sacred Circles, Ace of Pentacles. My first thought was, why the hell are you here? Let's see. I'm going to tap into this shortly, but what we're looking at is, what should you stop doing, continue doing, and start doing? And so it's been coming through as sort of a whole message rather than sort of segmented into 3. which is beautiful, because at first I was asking Spirit, like, how the hell am I supposed to do it? And Spirit just trust, just put all in one pile. I'm like, what? How am I going to know what to start, stop? And it's just kind of flowing. With the other two, I don't know what I'm going to see here, okay? But like I mentioned, this isn't me just giving you random advice. This is me reading the cards and the energy. I'm channeling what's coming through here, and it either resonates for you or it does not. Either it makes sense or it doesn't. Don't force it. Okay, so the best way to tap into your intuition is what you will see, feel, or hear to determine whether the messaging is right for you. Only you can do this. And so I haven't looked at these. We'll lay out the cards, and if you want to go straight away to the channeling, you can do so. I'll put the timestamp. But let's tap into what this is about here. So Ace of Sacred Circles. So this is all about a manifestation, beginning of a manifestation. Ace of Pentacles is slow energy because the seed takes a lot of time. It does. It takes a lot of time, and here I see it's winter, so nothing really is going to plant in the frozen ground. That's a truth that we need to sort of accept, and we need to accept we have a seed, and it doesn't mean the seed is useless. It just, in this environment, it kind of is, the seed is useless. Like, it's true. The seed's not going to do anything in frozen ground here. But yet the frozen ground isn't really a problem within itself. It's just a natural state of this. Sometimes it's winter. And look, we have a star. Star's Aquarius energy. That's all about the wish. It's a future hope of attainment of something, a desire, a vision we have. I feel like you have a vision of something, and there's a fact, and there are two facts. I don't feel like there's an illusion. I don't feel like there's a wrong. I feel like there's two things happening that might not coincide right now. It's kind of how I feel. And for whatever reason, I feel like you're this seed or the thing, you're wanting to nurture the seed or know what to do with the seed in order to align with the star, but your environment is like not here, and you're like, well, for one, like, I don't even know that. Like, I don't even know what this seed is good for. It's almost like it's not like you could turn over here and there's summer, now you could plant the seed. It's like, it seems to be this barren environment all around. And so that this seed is true and good, and it could be, the harvest, the thing. So of course you're not going to just say, well, then the seed must be no good, because the seed is good. But you also know that this environment isn't conducive of it in some way. So how does it fit? How do you fit the square peg in the round hole? Like, neither are wrong. This is kind of a frustrating feeling. Let's see what pulls through. So we have Blade, conflict, injury, apprehension. So the conflict could certainly be that. It's like, I'm right, says the environment, because it's just being natural. And the seed's like, I'm right, because I'm, without me, there wouldn't be a harvest. And it's like, well, both are sort of right. But there's the truth, the objective truth of the situation here. Conflict, injury, and apprehension. And so this could cause damage. This could cause damage because there's both greater truths here, I feel. We have the river, 34, or the number 7. So sometimes this is really just us going with the flow, but sometimes there's shadow aspects we really need to sort of see. And sometimes we react out of shadow, our emotions sort of come up, and then we take reaction, but we're not really knowing where it's sort of coming from. And so we're acting sort of in this way, flowing in this way. Okay, let's see. We have lovers. Oh my goodness. So 15 is the devil in the tarot, Capricorn, and 6 is the lovers in the tarot, Gemini. And so these lovers are made of stone. Something seems very fixed. And again, I'm getting coldness, from the barren snow, and now I'm getting coldness from the statues. 2 pigeons, which is about peace. So that's the opposite of this conflict, If we don't want conflict, we want peace. Or did I say pigeons? Doves. Well, they kind of look like pigeons, but they're doves. They're white. I meant to say dove. It's a pigeon for a reason. Pigeons are homecoming pigeons know to come home to self. And they know how to find a way back. You know, you can cover them up completely and take them anywhere in the world and they'll fly back. And they know their way back home. Interesting. Let me see in pigeon. Okay. And we have family room. So this could be all about the comfort. You know, the people around us that provide us comfort. Our community or people, our safe zone. 21 or the number 3. We have 2 pictures in the background of 2 ladies. Okay. We have Okapi. And I believe this Okapi talks about something big happening that we know. Let's see. I'm going to read from the book. It's like an opportunity here of an event of sorts, if I'm not mistaken. And the Okapi is only seen in certain parts of the world. Oh yeah, it's near the end. Over here somewhere. I believe it is here. Yeah, look at this. A fated meeting, event, or situation. The higher meaning behind everything. The Okapi is a unique creature, partially resembling a zebra, but most closely related to the giraffe. That is indigenous exclusively to the northern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. In many ways, the existence of the Okapi seems unlikely, and yet an unknowable number of things aligned to make its existence so. The presence of the Okapi in a reading may speak to something that feels much the same. Well, it's coming here. And begs the question of fate, whether in a meeting or a situation. To draw the Okapi card in a reading is a sure sign that something bigger than you is at play. The way things have aligned across time and space to bring you to this moment where everything is falling into place, the river, may feel surreal. Moments in our lives where we can see destiny unfolding in front of our eyes are few and far between. There's a deep knowing in our bones that recognizes this pleasant twist of fate, and that some knowing asks us to drink in as much as we can stand, because there is something crucial to be harnessed and learned. Keep in mind that when destiny turns the wheel, it may not always feel pleasant, though it certainly feels big. Sometimes, when everything is aligned to put us on our higher path, it can be extremely difficult. This too requires a certain trust in the way that things are unfolding, even if we don't fully understand why. Look to the higher meaning behind this moment. Much is being revealed. Getting goosebumps, you guys. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hopefully I can do this reading justice. Allow. You're being asked to open your energy field. Take down your walls of protection in order to allow the goodness into your life. Sometimes, without even realizing it, we block ourselves from the flow of life. It's safe to open yourself back up. Okay, the Tower, 19, or the number 10. So the Tower in the Lenormand is sometimes feeling isolated. It's not traditional tower. Sometimes it could be the corporation or, you know, the corporate, the establishment, but it could just be feeling lonely, isolated on our own. 6 swords, moving away from troubled time, moving away from conflict. And 10 is all about completion, it's end of cycle. It's also Wheel of Fortune, and we were getting fated meeting or fated event. Here we have lead, the black, the white, the this or that, negative, positive, polarized energy, masculine, feminine. Lead, sort of fixed in some way. Look, this was getting from this. The seed was kind of fixed in its thing. And the environment was fixed in its way, but neither were wrong or right. You know, black and white, which is right, which is wrong. Neither. It's just what it is, and it creates what's happening. You know, masculine, feminine energy. Neither is right nor wrong, but it creates the balance of what's happening. It is what's creating the whole world through this polarity of energy. This is an interesting reading, you guys. Vinegar, 34. Or the number 7. I thought we had 7 coming through on another one. Yeah, 7, 7. Oh, you guys, look, 34, 34. 2 different tarot packs here, or oracle packs, 34, 34. So Google Google that angel number, see what pulls through. Could be a message for some of you guys. 34 could certainly be significant, but 7 pulls through as faith, you know, and we read that in the Okapi, having trust in something, wisdom, reflection, understanding. It's also chariot energy, which is success, movement, integration of dark and light with the chariots. It's about balance, integrating the shadow so we could have movement. It's also tower energy, which is allowing things to fall. Tower energy. Oh my goodness, I didn't even see that. Allowing things to fall. Okay. The shepherd. Celebration and family. Well, look, we have family room. So I'm getting 4 wands from this. 4 wands is my 1111 card. Sometimes I read it as coming into union. It's our community. You know, it's a celebration, marriage. Sometimes it could signify the twin flames, and so family room could mean the same sort of energy here, the family coming together. It's like rite of passage, but the shepherd could be leading the way in some way here. And then we have the choreographer with a crossroads, exploration. So crossroads, a decision this way or that way. And then the scroll is wound up, so we can't see the map. Can't see the map. We're kind of asked to trust. You know, this is the compass, the direction. We're asked to trust. And vinegar is our experience hasn't been very good here. It's almost ruining the broth. Okay. And here's the butterfly, 6. So like I said, 6 was pulling through with the 15. Devil and lovers energy, and lovers is all about the path, crossroads, the choice. Could be, you know, a loving relationship. It could be our purpose, the path to go down, to choose, you know. And what the butterfly is all about, transformation, liberation, freedom. The transformation, yeah, 6 is about problem solving, compassion, and harmony. Okay, and then liberator, you have freedom, light attributes, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns, which could be devil. Shadow attributes, imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring legitimate constraints. Legitimate constraint would be, this is legitimate. You can't plant in the barren. Okay, let me see, because I don't know. Wow, this is quite the reading. What should you stop, continue, and start doing here then? You can click on the timestamp to take you straight away to your reading. Okay. It's so vague here because I think the universe really is keeping the big old blinders on you, you know, and it could be really freaking frustrating. Like, why do I need blinders? Why can it just not be out in the open here? And this might be a first time you're experiencing this thing, but the big old answer as to why is because it couldn't have happened in any other way for you to reach a conclusion or this thing to happen the way it's happening. So I think everything you're experiencing up until this point hasn't been pleasant. In fact, it might be getting, you know, over time worse and worse and worse, and just like now I'm just in a different energy. So we might be guarded, protected, apprehensive, not seeing it, you know. We're not even, I don't even feel like we're necessarily bitter about it even. We're indifferent. But I think that thing within itself is no longer, yeah, it's just, it's left us feeling like it's not for us. All I've experienced here was not good. You know, it wasn't good. So why would I either open myself up to it, keep engaging, pretend it to be anything other than it's not? Like, I see, I've experienced, I know what I am, I know what it presented, I know what it came as an experience, I've accepted this, I know. But Spirit is saying trust, 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 and a deeper, deeper, deeper knowing. And the deeper, deeper knowing here is that you are being aligned with something very faded here that is aligned with what you want. Okay, but in order for us to do this, we have to completely, wholeheartedly trust where the river of life is flowing us. And as the river of life flows us in that direction, there's certain parts of us that are being healed and worked with by the universe, and it's shadow self parts. And the only way that that shadow self was able to be identified, rectified, resolved, recognized is in the way it's happening. And so this is pure freedom and liberation, because not only are we getting where we want to get to, and we'll get there, but we're also doing all these other things on the way there that have to sort of happen because that's the way that it was been divinely orchestrated. And so we feel alone, we feel bitter, we feel sad, we feel these things, it disappears, and then we learn from this. But that just remains our experience. Okay, so now what? Spirit, okay, experience that too. Like, that wasn't great. This and that wasn't the best. Now I feel alone. Now I feel this. Like, I just want to move forward. I just want to move forward. And Spirit is saying, trust that when the uncomfortable things are happening, because they will happen as they happen, it's for something we're not seeing right now. Okay, for a great purpose, exactly where we're supposed to be headed, which is always, always aligning us to our North Star, what we want, our wish. It's all going to come together here, okay, with the family room and this celebration. It's our rite of passage. It is the milestone in which things will completely make sense to you. And you'll see why everything sort of happened the way that it happened. It was so fated. It was really meant to be, and we feel completely changed and liberated, and like someone who's gone through a much needed experience in order for there to be the truest essence of self come out in the end and find the thing that we wanted in the beginning. But I feel like what we're really experiencing right now is real, but it is this peg in a square hole. The seed can't go in the frozen tundra. Like, why am I experiencing this? We can't see it. So all we got to make do with what is there for now. And it makes no sense to us at all. It's like, okay, I understand what I see here. I know what I experience here. I don't know why this is what I'm experiencing or what I'm even kind of supposed to do, but I know I got to keep sort of moving forward. I can't be sort of fixed or stuck. And Spirit keeps sort of checking you, in a way here. And it's not like the Spirit's, sort of trying to wreck you in any way. It's strengthening your faith and trust in the divine to be able to navigate in this way and overcome what is still hidden, what is still needing to be transmuted in a way in your energy. What still is in shadow that needs to be integrated as this beautiful thing sort of aligns and unfolds and takes time. But we don't see the great result. We don't see the big picture unless we totally, rise above to see it at one point. But we're supposed to allow. And the only reason why we're feeling suffering here is because when we experience the vinegar moments, the isolation moments, we start to buy into that it's really happening. And it's like, yes, it really did happen, but did it really in the grand scheme of things? The universe is happening everywhere at once, perfect as it is. And the universe doesn't stop universing when something bad happens, So our experience of something that is very insignificant in the moment, okay? And I know it's heavily charged, and we might put a whole bunch of energy into it and say, how dare you say this experience was insignificant? But in the grand scheme of everyone living, like the universe kind of experiencing itself through all of these things in the whole universe, you are like a little dot, okay? You're a little dot, but you're an expression of the divine being. And so what you attribute to that experience is really nothing but an illusion. And it's you sort of correcting distortions. And so the human self experiences the vinegar and the isolation and the suffering. But at the end of the day, we don't have to be tied to how we're seeing this thing. We can trust in the universe and say, I'm not seeing right now the liberation. I'm not seeing the whole transformation of myself here. That this negative experience, I could either say negative, or I could say it's an experience. Neither negative nor positive, but I could say that it is one in which is leading to my freedom, is leading to my star, is leading to the thing I want. All of these experiences are leading to the thing. And so this excites me, because when something happens, whether it feel this way or that way, it's all faded. And so we can let the experience happen, and our feeling is going to bubble up. And so if the feeling that comes up is not good, then we say, well, what am I thinking about what's happening here? Is this a real thought? Am I saying, man, I'm rejected right now? Okay, now we start feeling bad. This is the universe saying that's shadow. Your thought is incorrect. It's distorted. You're not rejected. Okay, you're not rejected. You're seeing yourself as being rejected, but you're not. In this sort of whatever situation, example I'm giving. Okay, so the seed knocks on the barren ground, it's frozen, and it's like, it's too frozen here. Okay, you can't plant your seed here. The seed's like, shit, like I feel rejected. You know? But if the seed only knew, I'm no less a seed. I'm still, whatever, let's pretend the seed was, to grow, I don't know, freaking a tomato plant, okay? So this is the tomato plant. And this is the barren ground. The tomato plant isn't going to grow here. And so the tomato plant can knock on here all it wants and saying the barren ground, the frozen ground is rejecting me, and now I'm less of a tomato plant seed or a tomato seed. But it's not true at all. This tomato seed is a tomato seed. And this barren ground is being barren ground. And that's what it's supposed to be, because that's what it is. Neither nor right, neither are wrong. But what the universe is showing is, as long as this tomato seed feels any thought of lack, rejection, cannot do, that's a negative distortion. And the only way it's going to lead this seed, you, to the divine is through this experience. Rejection, lack, suffering, alone, isolated, don't like it. Because we got to keep looking back at God. Keep looking back at the divine and say, that's my true essence. Liberation. I am the divine. I am the tomato seed. I am the beautiful thing. I can grow this manifestation. Period. Right here in this spot of the barren ground, the seed's not going in. But this doesn't mean that the seed can't produce the tomato plant. This seed is the tomato plant in its earliest stage. This seed is everything. Okay, so if the seed started to connect to that part and say, I am the tomato plant, this barren ground doesn't even, it's not even a thing. Look at me. I'm already the thing. Why I wanted to plant myself was so I could prove or be the tomato plant. To go in the ground, to plant that seed so I could, to be the thing. But I'm already that thing. I'm already the tomato plant. Okay, you got to take it into context. So you're already the thing you feel rejected from, or the suffering from, or the division from, or the separation from, or the reason we cannot. But you are already. You're not seeing it. And so the only way for you to see this, however long it takes, we're going to continue feeling the suffering, the rejection. And it's not the universe is saying, you must sit there in rejection and suffering. The universe is saying, turn to me. Turn and see the beautiful truth. Because the minute you do that, you're free. The minute you see that you're a divine being, you're now connected to me. But the only way you could ever see it is to be in front of this barren ground as the seed. Only you can allow yourself to see yourself differently. And so if we continue to knock on the barren ground, forcing this will, It's not going to change the fact that it's barren and it's true, and that we're a seed and we can't grow here. It's true. But the greater truth is that this is a tomato seed that isn't seeing its beauty. So if it went inwards and sat in the silence, it would then know that it is the tomato plant, and it does not need to go within this ground to make it more of a tomato plant. Yes, it's in a different state. Yes, it might grow a stem and leaves and tomatoes, but it is the tomato plant at a different state. But it always is, the value of it doesn't change, just the form of it. Okay, so in this experience that you're having, I feel there is a truth and there is suffering here. Okay, but the greater truth is that there doesn't need to be the suffering, and it depends on how we identify with this. And so this is fated like this for a reason. This is happening like this for a reason. And everything that is negative or doesn't feel good, it's questioning us to look at God from within. Why doesn't this feel good? It's because of a thought I'm having. And what is this thought? This thought is not true. This is the thing that needs to fall away. How I'm connecting to self, what I'm saying to self is not true. Where's it stemming from? There's a belief I hold here that I'm either, rejected or not good. And so I'm believing these things, but I don't need to. I need to sit deeper than that and know that I am this tomato plant, and that's the truth, until I really believe it and feel like the tomato plant. Then things start to shift and I feel free. And so our river's flowing, and every once in a while we hit this distortion until we take that understanding and we transmute it into clean, pure energy. Because the conscious being that's behind all of these distortions and projections and, and shadow self identifications, behind all of that programming, is the true light being, is the liberated self that is pure, that doesn't lack, that doesn't see itself as being rejected or refused or not belonging, or that other things like the environment can dictate its happiness or its usefulness or its ability to produce. No, this environment does not predict whether this is a tomato seed. This is a tomato seed. Period. End of story. But if the tomato seed doesn't recognize that it is, it's going to constantly feel these lack emotions. Okay, so once it starts to understand and really believe slowly but surely that it's a tomato seed, it could maybe start telling itself this. It might feel like a lie at first, but it really isn't. When it knows the greater truth that it always was a tomato seed, always is a tomato seed, then it sits in a different energy. It doesn't feel isolated. It doesn't feel rejected. It doesn't feel any of this stuff. And then there's freedom. And then the transformation happens. And then we start to see the map differently. And we start to say things that I don't see have no bearing on the weight of me, on the weight of who I am and even my sense of freedom. Because as things unfold that I don't see, this is the beauty of the adventure, let's say, that I'm going through. And I can make choices based on how it unfolds in front of me. But none of these things can dictate my true being. They have no impact. They're not going to take away from me or make me feel like I'm less than or not to this thing. I'm always going to be the thing here, the true essence being. Okay, so whether I'm contaminated or see it differently, that's purely up to me. And so I feel like you're in a situation here that seems very fixed, and the environment is just, it is how it is. But I feel like it's happening here very faded in a way for you to connect to divine being source here that wants to free you from this sort of imprisoned way of seeing things and connecting with things that I feel might get you really down. And so we might only know two ways to deal with this. And I think the both ways that we know to deal with this, I think neither are actually right. Because that's sort of duality and a mindset of this or that. And I think what you're seeing is either it's an environment and it's good and it makes me feel like a tomato seed, or it's bad, it's rejecting me, and I'm not a tomato seed because I can't prove it to me. So both ways, I'm still not the tomato seed, and those are the two ways. And Spirit is saying it's neither good nor bad. and you're never not the tomato seed. So we need to see it in that light. But I feel like with this blade here, it's like you're cutting it off at the knees. You know, like you're only seeing it in these two sort of ways that it could be. And both ways sort of diss you. Both ways are telling you something that's not true. And the only real truth is you're the tomato seed, regardless what's going on. This barren, not barren, you're in the ground, out of the ground, in water, wherever you are. Your state don't change. That's the truth. And so there's no need to cut things out, or there's no need to put up a wall, or no need to feel rejected or removed or isolated, or no need to lean into it when it's good. Like, it shouldn't dictate. Your environment, no bearing. It's here, it's there, who cares? You're the tomato seed, period, end of story. Loved, accepted, full, complete, producing. That's it. That's the universe. It doesn't need anything else. God is beautiful. It doesn't design anything here that needs anything else. Everything has exactly what it needs to flourish. And the only time it feels like it's not is when the human mind starts putting suffering and judgment. 7 swords, yeah. Some lie that we're not the tomato seed, that we're not good enough, or that we're not whole, or that we're lacking something, that we need some other thing to tell us who we are. We already know. We already feel it. We know it. We just need to connect to it. We started to believe we weren't. We started to believe in the environment more than ourselves. No. Okay, 7 of Cups. Yeah, big illusion. You know, and again, I feel there's this star. There's this idea of something, and it's great to have the idea of something, right? Like maybe you're like, man, like I really want to be the tomato plant, and blah 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 blah. It's like, but you are, and the happiness is going to come aligned with the vision of this once you know you're already the tomato seed. You know, the plant, you're all of it in one, in a state here. But I feel like there's this way you're seeing it. Again, like I said, only in 2 ways, and it's dictating the way you engage. Because I feel like you're either cutting it out, saying, well, I guess it's not this. You know, I guess it's not allowing. So, or, yeah, I guess it's not allowing. Or like you're just like in 2 states, of which either has a wall up or doesn't have a wall up, is either cooperating or not cooperating. And in both those states, you're still not seeing the beauty of yourself. Or I guess not even the beauty, the true state of self. The true state is you're this tomato seed, regardless. Okay, so just, but if we're the tomato seed, so this is coming through. If, I know this analogy is annoying, but it's how it's being delivered. If we're the state of being, okay, once we see it and understand it in self, we don't need to have walls. We don't need to feel like we have to do certain things for the environment to see it too. All we do is we encompass and we sit there as the tomato seed, and everything else lines up around us. But right now, I feel like your actions are dictating certain things, and it's actually not getting you where you want, and you feel bad doing it too, you know, because the more we knock here, obviously we can't be planted in the ground. So I think a lot of you guys stop knocking, but you still don't recognize that you're the seed. So it's like, oh well, now I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna go walk over here to the land that is soiled, that I can grow and plant my seed, and then it will see, and then I will see. It's like neither are right. Neither mind frame, neither scenario is one that's supporting the truth. And that is, I'm going to be here as a tomato seed, or wherever I want, be it here, there, it doesn't matter. It's not going to dictate, but I'm the tomato seed already. There we go. You don't need to walk over there. You don't need to convince this thing. You don't need to do any of that. And I feel like that's what you're sort of doing. You're doing the opposite of that, or something else that's going to, but you don't need to do any of that. Okay, so 8 of Pentacles in reverse. Don't need to convince. High Priestess in reverse. We don't see that we're the tomato seed. We don't see the rolled up scroll. 7 of Swords and the High Priestess in reverse. This is not seeing at all. You know, this is being deceived. And I think the big deception here is us playing it on ourselves, telling ourselves that we're not the tomato seed. Big lie. Action of Swords. This is the Knight of Swords, and in reverse it's like retreating. This is that wall. This is this cutting away. I feel like we're trying to act right now. Four of Pentacles. Yeah. Okay. So this is what's happening. Okay. Try to take it into context. I know these readings are a little bit strange, but because we couldn't plant the seed in the barren ground, we've come to some sort of acceptance. So even seeing this, we might say, no, I'm not in no in denial and no illusion. Actually, yeah, you kind of are. Yes, you got it right that this is frozen ground and your seed can't go in there. Yes, that's true. So you think, so my only other option is to go to where the ground is plantable to plant the seed. And you could do that, but the problem still remains. And the problem is you're not seeing that you don't need to go to the barren ground. You already are the tomato seed that you're trying to plant here. And so by going somewhere else, you're only proving yourself even more that you don't believe it, because you have to go to another barren ground to prove to yourself that you are the tomato seed, because this is going to cause suffering. Because let's say you go to the barren ground. One, let's say you don't find barren ground. You'll never know you're the tomato seed. Two, now you got to go all the way. Who knows how far it is. Three, let's say you go there for, I don't know, a brief moment, a quick ham sandwich, and all of a sudden it freezes there too. Damn, now I got to find another place to prove to me I'm the tomato seed. Like, no, you're in some blind spot here. You're not seeing. And so I think in this situation itself, you've retreated because you think you're being proactive and going in a direction of finding the thing. And no. Put your wall down. Put your defensives down. Whatever action you're thinking you're taking is actually not solving the problem. You're just going to be like, hey, I'm the tomato plant here. The seed. That's what I am. Okay, but I don't need to knock on the frozen ground. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to, except for embrace, trust, fully see this in self, and sit with this understanding, because I need to heal. And what I'm healing here is the misconception that I was anything at all other than that. And it made me feel bad, and it made me feel all of these ways: rejected, removed, not good enough, couldn't produce, limited, debilitated, restricted, whatever it was, because I know you felt these ways, but you're not any of those ways, and it shouldn't have made you feel that way. And if it did make you feel that way, that was the lesson. So for you to see that you're not any of those things, you're not, you just don't see it. Okay, Tower. So it hurts, and the Tower keeps coming through. Okay, I was feeling it with another Oracle card here. I forget which one it was, but when we see this, okay, when we see this and understand this, we start to see all of the ways we could have been supporting that belief that was not necessarily true. And it resulted in a whole bunch of other things, like when I believe that I'm not this thing, I start to do things and act in a different way, because I truly believe I'm not the tomato seed. And so it cascades in different events. But when I sit there knowing what I am, now things transform completely differently. They transform completely differently. It's like the universe starts to provide. You start to sort of grow. You start to grow in wherever. I don't know, like maybe you're in some area here and then the snow that just starts to form. Like, you're going to grow either which way, but we have to sit in that energy and let the falls sort of fall away here. Yeah, because we can't go down that path, And I think you're trying to make that path by going to the soil that you can plant, or by saying, I can't here, so therefore I'm going here. And it's great if you think you can go elsewhere to attain or to be the plant, go ahead, because I think you need to learn this. But I think what Spirit's saying is, doesn't matter where you go, what you're going to do, you got to open your eyes to a greater truth, and you could do that right here, right now, without wasting time, without believing you're not this thing, because I feel your path is closed, like it's barren here, therefore I cannot. But it's like, what do you mean you cannot? You already are. There's no thing here that you're supposed to be doing. Your mind thinks you got to be in the ground in order to be the thing, but no, you don't. You're already the thing. So, and once you feel it, connect to it, The change really, 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 really happens. The illusion falls apart. The beauty starts to grow. The freedom you see, the transformation, everything that's stuck starts to get unstuck. We start to feel welcome, comfortable. You know, we don't start to restrict, build walls, chop people out of our life, cut things out of our life. Feel apprehensive because of our experience, you know. We're never apprehensive. We're open to the universe. Everything's bliss. Everything's divine. Nothing could be taken away from me. No one's action is going to make me feel less than, you know. I don't need to have my back up. I don't need to have my wall. I don't need to have anything at all. I could just be in peace. Be in peace, because I know the nature of my true divine being. It can never be tainted once I connect to it. I no longer believe in the distortion. I no longer feel the need to go, do, be anything other than what I am right here, right now. Regardless of who's doing what and what they're doing. There's no bearing over me. Okay, pile 3, this is your reading. I love you so, so much. I hope this resonated. I know it was energetically charged, but it was a message for someone. And believe that you are the divine being, even if you don't feel it in this moment. If you believe this, you know, if you're connected to the divine and you feel inside of you that some part of you wants it to resonate, know that you are a divine being. You have God within you. You're an extension of God. You are the creator here. Okay, so know this. Everything else is an illusion and programming that we're just undoing. Okay, undoing false beliefs, distortions, shadow parts, pockets of darkness we don't need to carry, so we can flow and be liberated and be free. And 6, the Lovers. So then we have in front of us the path, you know, path of love, path of purpose. It's wherever we want to go, because we're free and we're beautiful and we're in pure state. This is our truest state, you know. But whether we were the caterpillar or in the chrysalis or the butterfly, it was what we needed to experience. And that was the biggest message here, because I feel you're experiencing something here. And you're not understanding, you know, why is it difficult? Or, you know, I don't know, like all of these things. And Spirit saying it's like this because you'd never get to this understanding had you not gone through this. You're never going to see it had you not experienced this, you know. So